No monsters were captured in the making of this video. If there's one thing that all Monster Hunter players have in common, it's that this sound here, oh yeah baby,
Oh, it's exciting.
oh, will make your body react in a way that I can't describe on this website. And when I'm playing this game, I'm hunting for any reason to see and hear that sparkle. You see, in all my years of playing Monster Hunter games, there's only one thing I really want to do, and that's craft every single thing possible. The only issue is, the amount of time and effort investment is immense. With games like Generations Ultimate and Iceborne having just an unreal amount of content, it felt like a huge waste of time, so I gave up. Until Monster Hunter Wilds was right around the corner, and with the success of the previous titles, the hype train had never been bigger. Oh no. GPUs were burning, CPUs were killing themselves, children were crying in the street, parents begging the government to intervene and stop Capcom's tyrannical reign. But that didn't stop me. I was going to craft every item in Monster Hunter Wilds. And just before the end of the year, I'd done it. Weapons, armor, palico equipment, talismans. There wasn't a single thing you could make in this game that I did not already own. My 20-year-old dream of 100%ing a Monster Hunter game had come true. Despite being the base game with content still on the horizon, I proved to myself it can be done. I just had to put in like 600 hours into the game. But with only 2 tile updates left and only 1 actual new edition of a monster, I was confident. Only 2 armor sets remained. Maybe some event armor, maybe some event weapons. As far as I was concerned, I was home free. Then came the transcension mechanic. Starting from Title Update 4, every armor piece in the game can now be ascended, allowing you to upgrade it further and allowing for more decorations on weaker pieces. That's fine. It can't cost that much. What the fuck? Very quickly, my dream was starting to slip from me. And ultimately I decided, fuck that, I've already crafted everything in the game. There's no reason for me to do this.
Are you challenging me?
Let's get this shit done. Behind this blurred image is my wish list, which shows every item I need in order to complete this challenge. You may think this is mainly gems, or plates, or tails. You're wrong, it's pieces of paper. Now don't get me wrong, there are a lot of gems needed for this. In fact, I'd say it's the second biggest hurdle in getting everything transcended. But the hurdle before it is around twice as big, with 3,086 tickets being needed to ascend everything. Capcom, what the fuck are you doing? What the fuck am I doing? With the tickets and the gems identified as our biggest issues, we'll have nothing else to worry about. It was time again to move on to my first professional victim. And nothing says professional victim like Chatacabra. But real quick, just a note about these cool little graphics I've made is that the number you're seeing is the total amount of items that I got in reference to the wishlist that you've just seen. But at some point I did a bunch of transcends because I hadn't yet decided to save it all for the end like I've done now. So if later on there's a difference between the graphics and the gameplay, that's why. But the graphics show the true full amount. Enjoy! The eagle-eyed viewer might notice on the side of the screen a timer and wonder, what's that? Well, this is an arena quest. They suck. And I don't blame you for not knowing what it is, because there's only 4 of them in the game, and they're not worth doing. Unfortunately for me, however, there was 3 of them that I had to complete numerous times. Thankfully, Chatacabra is the first monster you fight in this game, and due to that, he's a bit of a punching bag. And although I couldn't use my main weapon in this fight because arena quests are cringe, he went down surprisingly quick. Holy shit, this weapon's busted! What the fuck? On top of this, the drops were surprisingly plentiful. I only needed 30 chatter coins total for all the armor pieces to transcend, and I got 3 on my first run. Now I enjoyed dual blades, but I decided to give it a rest and instead switch to a gunner set, which I don't usually use, and as you can see, oh shit, didn't go very well. But despite my inexperience, he was going down pretty quick, and he had skulls before I even hit 2 minutes on the timer. And while I wouldn't brag about this time, it was a PB nonetheless. Oh fuck, was I just terrible at the game last time I did these? Jesus Christ. These aren't going to take as long as I thought they would. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. After just a couple more kills, I was now done with Chatacabra. That's it. That's our last chatter coin. Thank fuck. However, I hadn't even begun to see the worst of arenas in this game. Next up was Raffian for another round of wrangling coins, but this time I could use my favourite weapon, the Charge Blade. Another boon to using this set was it came with poison resistance free, which helped protect me from Raffian's tail barbs. And the less time I could spend guzzling down antidotes with this egregious animation, the more time I could spend beating on this thing's fucking skull. This piece of shit has been in every Monster Hunter game since the beginning, so at this point I'll be able to recognise its moveset if it was depicted by Stephen Hawking's in the game of charades. It's not hard, and if you get hit by this monster at this point, you're shit at the game. If I seem bitter about this quest, it's because I am. And until I started editing this, I forgot the misery of having to get 60 of these fucking coins, because they did not seem to have the grace to drop as many as it did when I was hunting Chazzacabra. 2 coins! And I need to gather more than twice the amount. So I was doing this quest for around 2 hours straight, which just puts into perspective how much time overall doing this challenge took me. Of course, there was an upside to each coin being so sparse. Each one was that much sweeter. Oh, 4. 2 more. Yeah, you're dead, mate, with this. Oh, okay. Good times. Oh, I think I'm free. Am I free? Am I free? Please, Gemma, tell me. That wink says I'm free, please. I'm free. Now this next one actually infuriates me to think about even looking at the footage, so I'm going to keep this one short and sweet. Fuck Capcom. Fuck Street Fighter, fuck Akuma, fuck Ajarakan, fuck me, and fuck you. I could waste more of your time on this section, but I think my reaction to getting the final ticket pretty much says everything I want to say about this quest. I'm done. I'm free. I'm free. I'm free. I'm free. I'm free. I'll never have to do this again. If this comes back in fucking Master Rank, I am going to tweet at Jono, the community dude, and abuse him. With Arena Quest out of the way, I decided to work on the big bulk of the challenge, these being the monsters' certificates and also their own personal rare drops. Raffian and Rathalos rubies, for example. This isn't going to be edited in chronological order, because if I tried to make sense of the months and months of me playing this game, I would blow my brains out. While there were times where I hunted 80 Hirabamis in one sitting, it wasn't very common, and I did try and keep things varied to make sure I didn't go fucking insane while doing this video. If you do see a continuity error and you think I'm cheating, I'm not. I didn't record over half a terabyte of footage for no fucking reason. But that also means I'm not obligated to include every single carve that I got in the game. I know people have food to eat, but I'm not making a 3-hour-long video. Anyway, on to the next monster. Now, Quemitris was conflicting for me because I loved his fight, I loved his design, but much like myself in any social situation, he was allergic to being touched. Even from the first time you fight him, just as you start to get into it, he just falls over. Even the Toad puts more of a fight in them, and I should be happy about this, because I'm going to have to fight this guy hundreds of times, but something about it just didn't feel right. What did feel right, though, was putting this chicken through a blender. Yeah. And so, due to the length of the hunts, it wasn't long before we had every certificate that we needed. And I even got some Hunter Ticket 1s and Wyvern Gems on the way. But we'll be coming back to those and Quemitris a little bit later. That is, of course, if there's any left. Lalabrina was another easy one, but at least this monster tries to avoid your weapon and doesn't just run headfirst into you and die in 20 seconds. I was also so close to getting the certificates for this monster that I accidentally got them while I wasn't recording, so in the background is footage of me doing the event quest to get the Cat Burglar Sword and Shield. But I love this monster, and I'm a huge advocate for wanting Capcom to give us more insects. You know, bugs are one of the most abundant species on Earth. And yeah, I understand Monster Hunter isn't based on Earth, but it's based on ecosystems and biology, and insects are such a huge part of it. You're telling me you can make 18 flying wyverns for Monster Hunter World, but you can't make a single insect? Come on! There's so many options you can do, and we need a high-level bug monster. And I think a clear way to fix the fatigue people are having with higher tier monsters is to make new ones. You've been relying on Rajang and such to be the endgame content for 3 generations now. It's time for something new. I didn't actually need the tickets for Kong Alala, but he's such a nostalgic monster for me that I couldn't not talk about him, especially because he's kind of terrible for Beast Gems, so I'm not going to be revisiting him later. But look at him, this guy's goated. Back in the day, him and Koku would take turns passing me back and forth and skull fucking me because I was 7 years old and That doesn't sound great. But I was 7 years old and I thought hunting horn was the weapon for me, and I had no clue how the fuck it worked. Any success I had in that game was completely accidental. But back to Wilds. Is it just me, or is this guy unbelievably tanky? Like, he only takes 4 minutes to kill, but it's such a jump up from Quemitris and Chatacabra. Like, I can kill a Shay Wu and a Ray Dow in 4 minutes. Why is the funny shit-flinging monkey taking that long? It doesn't feel right. I don't get it. But that's why we're not going to be using him to get our beast gems. When I first saw the announcement trailer for Wilds, I didn't really like the design for Doshiguma, but after playing the game, I fucking hate it. This is one of the ugliest monsters that have ever been designed, and like, it's not lazy. I can tell they've put effort into it. I just fucking hate it. They've clearly focused so much on its ecology making sense. Like, it's got small eyes because it's in a dusty area. Its fur is like stringy and not fluffy because it's gotta be like, I guess, like regulates heat and shit. It just looks fucking boring. Like, where's the sauce? I just feel like he's one of the more lackluster designs we've had in a while. In a game with one of arguably the best rosters we've ever had for a Monster Hunter game, he just stands out, and not in a good way. And you may think, oh, that's just the design. There's plenty of monsters that have average designs that have really fun fights, so how's this fight? It's just as boring as his design is. You can never really tell what he's doing because he kind of half-asses every fucking attack he does. And the only real interesting thing he has going for him is the counter he does after you hit him with a wound attack. So, unfortunately because of that, he's going in D tier. Oh wait, that's not what this video is. Look, Capcom, I apologise. I asked you where the sauce was, and you dished me up a hot fucking bowl of peak! Look at this fucking guy! We have Brachydios at home, yeah, and he's sick. The Cypher Claws, the Tobuscus, I don't know what it's called, the weird whippy lashy tongue, the fucking beaming evil red eyes, and he inflates himself with poisonous gas. It's like a Jigglypuff that makes sure you don't wake up after you go to sleep. He's the perfect mix between fantasy and ecology, and he's everything I want from a monster. He's just such a pushover. And while I was fighting him to get these tickets, I couldn't help but wish there was more of a reason to fight him, where he lasted a bit longer. Oh shit, what's this? If you didn't notice from earlier, I'm a big fan of insect monsters. And by the way, I say insect monsters because who the fuck can pronounce these two words? Just change it to beetles and spiders, and then spin a wheel to see where Adelkar ends up. When I played through 4U for the first time, Nasilla quickly became one of my favourite monsters of all time. Just look at it, it's so cool. I fucking hate spiders in real life, but for some reason, when they're in a game and they wear the flayed skin of their prey, they get a pass from me. I was so excited to talk about this monster that it wasn't until I'm recording this VO line right now that I realised I actually haven't recorded any footage for it because I didn't need to fight it. So I guess that's it for Nasilla. We've had a monster with a mid-fight and a mid-design, and we've also had a monster with a great design and a mid-fight. But what if we could mix those together to create a monster with a great design with a mid-fight? Don't think about that too much. Resident Evil 9 released recently, and it had a secret puzzle at the end of the game that required a bunch of people to make their own subreddit about and work together as a community to solve. But just like everything else to be excited about in gaming, data miner spoiled it. Who saw that coming? But what if I told you that Monster Hunter Wilds actually has something similar involving Hirobami? As a community, we haven't actually seen all of Hirobami's moveset because he dies in 4 seconds and doesn't do anything. When I saw this thing constantly levitated in the sky, I got flashbacks to old Gen Rathalos, and I was kind of worried about fighting this thing, but one flash bomb and it doesn't get back up. You can lock these things down. I've killed 3 of these monsters at the same time in just a few minutes, which is nothing crazy, but when you're going for so many materials, it's beautiful. I flew through the tickets for this, and eventually they helped me fly through the Wyvern gems too, but that's later. Apart from being featured on the worst quest in the game, I'm quite neutral on Ajarakan. He's cool. I'm not exactly in a rush to fight him 400 times to get all these beast gems I need, but I had to be prepared to fight him quite a few times because he dropped the Ajarakan Medulla, or Medulla. I've always said Medulla, but I think it's Medulla. I don't know. I just looked it up and apparently it's Medulla. Dude, no one's saying that. Anyway, this is our first rare drop from a monster. Although with these drop rates, rare's quite generous. But don't worry, it gets worse. Whereas for stuff like Wyvern Gem, where we can continue to ignore Balahara's existence and just abuse Cox for 20 hours, with Ajarakan Medullas, obviously we have to fight Ajarakans. However, this is also the first chance we get to abuse the investigations in this game, because alongside having normal and rare rolls on certain materials, you can also just roll the thing you want, which is the rare drop. This has been heavily criticised since the game released, and while I do agree with those criticisms, in this case, give me as many as you got. Thanks to this, alongside a hearty pile-up of medullas that I already had, this one was a quick few hunts and done anyway. Oh god, they made another one. Never mind. Bless the Lord. Oh god, they made another one! I do like the Guardians, it's just unfortunate that of the 4 they picked to get one, 3 of them are some of my least favourite monsters of all time. But in terms of Guardian Rathalos, they actually improved his fight quite a lot, and dare I say, this was the first time I enjoyed fighting a Rathalos in a Monster Hunter game. Him being more orientated to attacking you with his legs rather than just shooting fireballs at you from fucking 40 meters in the sky meant you had an ample window to hit him back and counterattack after managing to dodge or block his attack, and that's exactly what he needed. I think him falling out of the sky is a bit too of a low of a threshold. They need to up that up a bit, I think. But overall, I enjoyed farming this thing for its gems, and it didn't even take that long, because despite being a dragon himself, he's not a fan of dragons. He's on that like Pokemon typing shit. But I guess he is the Charizard of Monster Hunter, being a red dragon that you don't really see anyone express any love towards, but for some reason he gets so much representation. But after a short evening, we were done with Guardian Rathalos. Yeah, there it is. Ebony Odogaron was a monster that I didn't really fight too much in Iceborne, but I liked him. I thought he was decent. And even though he's my favourite design of the Guardians in this game, I think he's my least favourite fight. And when it makes sense that he wouldn't be up to scratch with his G-rank version, I feel like he's been stripped back a little bit too much. Again, I don't know Iceborne version enough to pinpoint where they've taken something or add something, but he just feels a little bit flatter. One thing I do notice actually are the feints. The fake falling over that Odogaron does is such a pinnacle point of its design and its fight, and he just doesn't do it in this game, which I thought was a really strange decision. Regardless, I had some tickets and gems to get. So here's a quick little carving montage with no game audio because I forgot to record it again. That was very anticlimactic. I got it from a reward. Lovely. In a game where they've introduced cephalopods as a new category of monsters, it's so funny to me that the secondary one that they introduced is so much better than the apex that they built up in all the marketing campaign. I'll get to what I don't like about Anudra later when I talk about it, but Shay Wu is such a good fight for 2 minutes. He actually lets you make use of focus mode by constantly jumping behind you, putting up smoke screens, disappearing into a wall to then jump out and sneak attack you. He feels like an assassin, which makes sense because all of his armor, which looks fucking amazing by the way, is based on assassins. And the way he can morph his front tentacles into different shapes to create different weapons, one that shoots spikes at you, one that slams across the ground, one that stabs you like a spear. Like cephalopods in real life, this monster's intelligent. It can basically use tools. My one issue with that though is that the monster that's all about morphing his arms to different weapons doesn't have a weapon design for the weapon that's built around morphing from one weapon into another. What the fuck? Wait, but what about Switch Axe doesn't count because I don't use it. I also love how alien this thing feels. I guess if you follow the story, Shay Wu evolved to prey on the Guardians, which was man-made, so it's almost like Shay Wu is nature's answer to Wyveria's like slight against humanity. I've said many times how I love monsters that are like this mix between biology and fantasy, and this one's almost like biology and sci-fi. If it was done often, this sort of monster design would get really stale, but the fact it's just a one-off in the game is I loved getting these gems. Although as you've probably noticed, there's a lack of me carving gems in this footage, and that's because I pretty much got all of them exclusively through the reward box, but I haven't carved a single gem yet, but these guys have carved 4. Nonetheless, I got them. Very fun. I wouldn't even mind doing 40 more. Kutku's my boy. There's a reason the Japanese called him Kutku Sensei, because he teaches you tons of shit. How to position, how to dodge, maintaining sharpness, breaking parts, crying as a man is okay. If you're gonna bawl your eyes out after you finally beat a monster on your PSP, don't do it with the door closed because your parents will think something bad happened at school. He also taught the player at an early point that every move a monster has an ideal action and response you can do to mitigate damage and sometimes avoid damage entirely. Apart from this one, this move is bullshit and it's impossible to dodge it. If you do not have a shield in your hand, good fucking luck. Iron Cuckoo made me the man I am today. You so much as look at one of these things the wrong way and 3 of his buddies are hopping out the sewers like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Chickens and they're batting you around like dolphins with a puffer fish. And you might be under the misconception that it's efficient to hunt 4 of these things in one quest. Until you spent probably hours of your life waiting for these things to go to their fucking nest. Like, what is this, man? I've seen faster flights coming out of fucking Dubai with hundreds of birdwiving gems on the chopping block. Watching this animation gave me heart pains, and I was definitely going to try different ventures. But for now, the certificates and keen bones will do. That is our last keen bone. And also due to the high amount of tempered monsters I was fighting, we even managed to finish off the simple ones. 2, 3, 4, oh, 1, 2, 3, that's the symbols done. It's time to revisit Rathian, because I've got some gems to carve, and... Where's the video? Oh. Whoops. Rathalos, we all love him, he's the mascot for a reason, and that reason is... Anyone got anything? Rathalos is a monster that exists. And until Wilds, I don't think I've ever actually enjoyed hunting him. And for that, there's 2 main reasons why he's not as bad as he is in older games. Like always, you can abuse him with flash bombs until he decides he doesn't care about them anymore. You can also tickle his feet a little bit and he'll collapse to the ground. Even though I know for sure they're completely redoing this in the G rank expansion, I want to kiss whoever at Capcom came up with this idea because it actually makes the monster tolerable, which was a good thing considering since the game released I've been avoiding this guy like the plague, so I had a lot of gems to make up for with this guy. I also want to verbally abuse whoever decided to have Raph Medulla have the special carve animation. When a man is desperate for gems, don't fake him out, because it will make him into a very sad, sad boy. But with carver meal in our belly, the gems were flowing, the kills were killing, and the post reward screens were being quite generous. And after one final kill, not only had we found our last Rathalos ruby, but we'd also found our last Hunter symbol too. Please do not bring these back for G rank, I can't take it anymore. I stated earlier that Full Anjanath is one of my least favourite monsters of all time, and that's not entirely true. Anjanath is one of my least favourite designs of all time because he's just a fucking T-Rex. Sure, sometimes he has wings and sometimes his nose goes big, but like, I don't really think that helps his case. Full Anjanath, on the other hand, miles better. Still not fantastic in my opinion, but miles better. It could just be that his design's easier to look at because the colour scheme's a bit more visually interesting. Like, there's a reason that new Turret game's ripping off of Full Anjanath rather than normal Anjanath. That's all I'm going to say. I can also see why they chose to make this version of him a Guardian, because a big theme of Guardians, and a lot of the Arc-Tempered as well, is that they just kind of make whatever they hit explode after they hit it, which is basically what he did already. But as we all know, unless you're a worldlet, Anjanath isn't a difficult monster, so this didn't take much effort to get through anyway. What it did take, though, was an awful lot of time. In the background is every single gem I carved in trying to get to 40. If you count them, I got 8. God is real. So the guaranteed rewards from the investigations definitely helped here, but I'm not complaining.
We're making solid progress on your wish list.
Was that a bear? Oh no, it was the humongous 20-ton dragon made out of rocks. Of course. Why does he sound like this now? You cannot convince me that they didn't just rip this from the Skyrim game files and then fucking bass boost the shit out of it. Listen to it, man. It makes me crack up every time I hear it. And the weird thing is, like, why is it such a I haven't played Skyrim in like 6 years. Why did the second I hear this, I went, this is Skyrim bear? You don't even find bears that often in Skyrim, so it's not like I've heard it a ton. Why does he sound like this? Although it's weird that you can just go, yeah, that's a bear. He does give, like, grizzly bear energy. It's just, was there no other recordings of a bear they could have used to talk about the actual monster and not Wild's weird sound effect team? He's fine. He hits like a truck sometimes, but there's a huge emphasis on the sometimes because if you have any water element on your side, this thing is not lasting 4 minutes. It kind of keeps to the theme because he used to be just this absolute tank of a monster that you'd constantly bounce off of until you got that chest break, and then you could just do fuck tons of damage to him. It worked in the older games because bouncing was more of an issue, and also it didn't seem to break after you hit it 5 times like it does in Wilds. And I think that's the main issue I have, is that the break's too easy. And even though it's been buff since the game release, because it used to be even easier, his threshold for flinching is way too low. But this worked in my favour and it made his certificates piss easy to get. You're probably thinking that this would be an easy slam dunk for the Wyvern gems, but it just didn't feel ethical, so I'm going to be doing something else for that. But it was nice to get a few contributions in the meantime. Mizitsune is quite a contentious monster within the community since it's been included in every single game, apart from World, which was allergic to Leviathans, since its introduction. Sure, that's only 3 games, but Generations released in 2016. We just don't get as many game releases as we used to in this series. And I think that definitely makes people a lot more precious about which monsters they're seeing and how often they're seeing them. But since my opinion's the only one that matters to me, I declare it's alright. I think overall I'm more fatigued with a monster like Zenoga or Rajang, who you know are coming to Wilds as expansion. There's no way they're not. I think it does help Mizitsune's case though, because I think this is the best they've ever done this monster. Mate, the bubbles! They look so fucking good. When they released the trailer for this thing, I was baffled. This game really surprises you sometimes with how good it can look, sometimes. I think what helped with Mizitsune being received better as well is it fucked people up. If you were going to SOS quests on the first week this thing released, you had probably like an 8 in 10 chance of failing the quest. Of course, if you were struggling for kills, you could always just go for an untempered version, but where's the fun in that? And in my case, I still had Hunter free tickets to gather up, so may as well double up. And there's our last Mizu Orb. Woohee! The next monster to push his stinky feet through the back of people's craniums was Seregios. And because Charge Blade sucked cock before Title Update 3, I was one of those people. But now, God points work, and I was back for fucking revenge, because I needed 12 of this guy's dissenters. And revenge I got. I don't know what a dissenter is, but due to carver meal, I was ripping these out of this boy. No issue. Is what I'd like to say, but once again, the reward box came in clutch for me. There it is. I guess I haven't really spoke about Seregios much, but I'll just say I like him in this game. He's nothing mind-blowing, but he's more aggressive, he's stickier, and even when you're playing with someone who's not in the call with them, you can tell they're sweating when they've got his focus. Call him a Reddit monster all you want, but I'd take 14 variants of this guy over a single Elder Dragon in this game, and they did him well. Sure, is the scripted underwater section annoying?
It looks so
not really.
good,
I think we've had far, far worse in the series, but if this is where you draw the line, fair enough, I guess. And I understand, just because it's not as bad doesn't mean it's not bad, but at least we're not ferrying cannonballs back and forth for 15 minutes. That's all I'll say. But I do think they made his on-land fighting good enough to just be its own thing, because it's far better than he was in all the games. And they added him to the Wounded Hollow, so like it's, you know, you can do whatever you want. Although the difficulty of monsters in this game is quite convoluted, with them having 5 different stars, and then if they're tempered, they're like a completely different fight in the cases of Mizu, Seregios, and Lagicrus. I quite like it, because historically, these monsters we've gotten for the title updates have always been on around the power level of a Rathalos. They've always been, you know, around that 4-star, 5-star monster, but in this game, when they're tempered, they're way stronger than the tempered Rathalos. But the fact that they rival Apexes when they're tempered was definitely a good decision, because there were a lot of concerns about the difficulty of the game, and it makes their fight so much more interesting. Especially Lagicrus, who refuses to take damage. You want to cut this guy's tail off? You better bring Part Breaker free. You want to get a Shock Spike break? You gotta take Part Breaker free. And I'll just say, it's so lovely to have Leviathans back in the main series game, because having them on modern hardware, when they look this fucking good, like just look at the lightning attack, the way it burns the ground and it like scorches it for a little bit. Even the underwater section, you might hate it, but you can't deny it looks fucking fantastic. You can say it's nostalgia speaking, and you'd be right, because Tri was the first monster in the game that I was actually like competent at. But in a game that had a lot of ups and downs for me, it's just nice to enjoy something. Oh, we got a gem. I have my fair share of issues with Wilds. I mean, who doesn't? But the title updates are not one of them. Did they take a little bit long to come out? Yeah, but I think they smashed them. Apart from Akuma, Akuma can burn, and it was a waste of dev time. Something else they introduced alongside this title update, they made gems a fair bit harder to get, and it is noticeable. Yes! Yes! I was trying to avoid rest spamming to get good investigations, but with Lagicrus, I had to. I could not stand fighting this thing with another dry spell of 10 hunts without a gem. It just wasn't something I was willing to do. Back in the day when there's no eruption, fine. But if I did it here, I'd just be smashing myself in the testicles for no real benefit. You can think lesser of me, but just remember, I'm not doing this for 10 or 20 gems, not even 100, 1,000. Over 1,000 of them. But in the end, the guaranteed reward wasn't needed because the plunder end came in clutch, and of course, as usual, I wasn't recording when I got it. But thankfully, I was able to clip just the end of it. It's good enough, innit? Just like most other people that played it, For You is my favourite Monster Hunter game, which is safe to say that Gormagala is also my favourite flagship. And that's mainly because on top of his really cool design, he actually has an effect on the plot that he's involved in, unlike every single flagship you're seeing on the screen right now, which if you notice is pretty much every other flagship ever created. And even in Wilds, Gormagala got what was essentially an epilogue to itself. Not only was it a very good introduction to the monster, but they turned this thing into a fucking beast. So with 34 gems on the line, I was taking the easiest quests I could find, pretty much exclusively going for 7 stars because have you seen how much HP the 9-star version of this monster has? No, thank you. It was also at this point where I couldn't just rely on my endgame gear to let me phase out and stop focusing on stuff. I had to actually fight the monsters because this thing could kill me very easily. But that didn't mean I wasn't capable of doing the exact same to him. Despite many kills of this monster, we weren't getting very many carves at all. And in the end, we pretty much relied entirely on the reward box to bring us towards the 34 that we needed, once again proving that the guaranteed gem system is balanced and fair. And there's our final gem. The Big Tuna was the first Apex we're introduced to in this game, and it's also my personal favourite. Is that because it's a Leviathan? Yes, but it's also because it isn't one of these 3 monsters. You can kind of tell that the Monster Hunter team always struggles for water element monsters on what they do, because they either shoot a giant wad of cum at you, or they shoot you with a fucking high pressure jet beam of water. For Big Tuna, however, they decided to have it create a veil for itself, which I don't think anyone really knows exactly what it does. Data miners. On top of that, much like your older cousin at the local swimming pool, it tries to drown you by crushing you with its giant fucking belly. This is simultaneously the worst move in the game that never hits you, while also being the strongest move in the game because if it hits you, for some reason, you just get one shot. And that's not even mentioning the second gen hitbox that this move sometimes has. But the biggest issue I had with Ufduna when trying to get the gems was fucking finding one. Where are they? At this point, I had been HR 999 for months. And in addition to, I think, Title Update 1 made it so that the higher your HR went, the stronger the monsters in your maps were, which was a problem for me because the second this was announced, Rarity 7s became fucking extinct. And alongside this, 2 additional Leviathans were now sharing the location with Ufduna, so this motherfucker just did not appear. And even when they did, the rewards I was getting in the quest, for lack of a better word, were wank. Regardless, I took what I could get, and I think the game started to take pity on me. Although it could be much quicker, I started to get through the gems fairly quickly, and it wasn't long before we had finished those up, and I could move on to Arc-Tempered Ufduna to collect those tickets that we needed, because someone at Capcom fucking loves paper. AT Ufduna isn't much different. He gets his cardio in with a Tigrex run, he belly flops more, and he pretty much never stops attacking. Although he doesn't change as much from the initial fight, I think the added aggression actually makes me like him the most out of the ATs, minus Arkveld. They just feel a lot cheaper compared to Duna, but I'll get into that with the next sections. Because for now, I had to struggle with the abysmal drop rate of the Gamma certificates. Fuck you. I know they don't expect anyone to get all of these to transcend every single thing, but when you know you need around 30 of these things and you're lucky to get 2 drop in one quest, oh god, it's miserable. And what made it worse at this point was, even when I finished this up, I knew I had 4 more of these to go. Raid Hour has become an instant classic with the community, but the contrary to me says he's alright. He's got a really good design, really good sound design, and a really good theme. His fight's just kind of boring. Wing drag, wing drag, wing drag, laser, laser, wing drag, flip, wing drag, and you can dodge all of it with minimal effort. I didn't have much issues getting the gems for this monster, especially because I could actually get the bastard to spawn in my map. But as you probably guessed already, I got most of these in the reward box. Business as usual, you know the drill. But moving on to Arc-Tempered Raid Out is where I started to see the cracks in this system. Because this fight was pretty much normal Raid Out with one extra move, and all his existing moves explode after they hit the ground. Yay. Despite being a small change, it did the trick. You have much less time to capitalize on openings, and shield users in particular get locked down for an extra few seconds if they choose to block instead of dodging. And with so many more attacks coming out of a lightning-based monster, you're bound to get stunned. I can't say I enjoyed getting these gamma tickets, but at this point, I was just happy to be getting closer and closer to my final goal.
Oh my god, I'm free.
I have no doubt that New Udra would be a fucking awesome monster if you could see it. But unfortunately for us who have played Wilds, this monster is constantly covered in just blocky, shitty textured fire. Why? Every fight against this monster just looks like a Minecraft house that's been griefed. Even when the fire dies out, this oil texture just doesn't look right. And it's such a shame because I really want to like this monster. I love the idea of the cephalopods, I love the integration of them. I just don't think the RE engine currently does it any favours. So it's going to be a fight that I hope comes back in the near future because they need another go at him. In the meantime, I slotted in Heartbreaker 3 and cut off as many tentacles as I could get because with Carver Meal, this was one of the easiest gem farming methods I could think of. So it wasn't long before we were fighting the Arc-Tempered version. And visuals aside, I actually really like this fight. I know I ragged on how it looks, but I think he's really fun. He slapped me, I slapped back, he slapped me harder, I slapped him even harder. He wasn't going down quickly, it was still going down regardless. And it's worth mentioning at this point, I did the ATs before I did the normal fights just because I could get the gems from the ATs, and I was getting tons from this guy. So even though I went into this expecting to be miserable for a few hours, I was pretty happy overall. Jinder hard? More like Jinder easy. These gems took me 4 days to get. Jin is the most unique Apex in that he has his very own area. He also has like 4 phases kinda, and takes twice as long as the other Apexes to kill for no reason. And to top it all off, he seems even rarer than Ufduna to get a good quest for. This fight kinda sucks cock, and I don't really have anything interesting to say about it, so I'll just move on to the Arc-Tempered version. This fight kinda sucks cock, and I don't really have anything interesting to say about it. So here's me getting the last gem. Yeah. And here's me getting the last ticket.
Please do.
Oh yes! Fantastic, let's move on. It's a shame that early on in WoD's life cycle, people got obsessed with the fact that Arkvale drops 3 more Arshan parts than other monsters, to the point where they forgot to actually appreciate that it's a pretty good fucking fight. And although he falls into the classic Monster Hunter trap of, oh, we killed the flagship, turns out that's not the thing we needed to kill, they go a bit further to have the whole coming back from extinction storyline, which I quite liked, and he's probably my favourite flagship since 4U. And it's a good thing I enjoyed fighting him because I had 76 gems to grab this time round. But watch how satisfying this is. Oh yeah, if only I'd set up my recording properly to get my reaction to that. Only 74 to go. And so, over the next few weeks, I chased Darkfell to the plains, to the cliffs, to the basin and the hollow, but not the forest for some reason. I just never found him there, I don't know why. Anywhere he went, I followed to clash with his chain so I could stop playing this game. The stakes were high, but I worked from home, so I was even higher. Yes! Oh, that was such a good kill. Holy fuck. After a long rolling battle, the 76th gem was in my reward box, and we even got the final symbol free along the way. On to the next. With Arkfeld out the way, we are now on to our last page, but as you can see, I had a lot of cleaning up to do. The Keen Bones were dealt with some cut queue quests, as I mentioned earlier in that section, but despite being on our last page, we still had hundreds of gems to get, which did not feel fantastic. Despite being so close to being done, I had never felt further from the finish line. Bear in mind that although I'm going to condense it so it's a lot easier for you to watch, the remainder of the video took me just as long, if not longer, than everything else leading up to this point. So, as I started to get to work, I noticed something. Although Nova Crystals could be mined, they had a super low drop rate. So needing the amount that I did, it didn't feel like a good idea to go mining for 4 hours straight. They could also be dropped in the reward box from certain level quests, but at this point, I had already done all of those that I needed to do, so doubling up on them didn't seem worth it either. But what if there was a monster that would reliably drop Nova Crystals every quest, but could also have a super high chance of dropping a Bird Wyvern gem? Chipsaros was perfect. He had a quick kill time, he could have extra carves from his fake death phase, and he even had a chance to drop Nova Crystals on part breaks and wound breaks. Chipsaros ended up being the guardian angel that saved me from waiting for hours for Kutku to get to his nest and hours of mining. But I still had to fight him dozens and dozens and dozens of times. But in doing so, I learned quite a bit about this monster, like, he can fucking run on walls? Thanks to an average kill time of about 1.5 minutes, it wasn't very long before I'd accumulated 189 bird gems. And there's our last bird wyvern gem. With that done, I went back to my wishlist to see that I only had about 30 Nova crystals left, and rather than hunting a bunch more Gypsaros, I decided to just go mining for it. After swapping to a gathering set, I went to Wyveria, since it seemed to have the best route for resetting mining spots, and I could also grab some bone piles on the way to work on my dragon bone relics. Not that I got any.
We're making good
Yes.
progress on the
Ooh. Yes, there it is. But since I was in the gathering mood, I decided to go straight onto the Dragonbone relics, where I took to the cliffs because I read online that Area 6 is really good for resetting because you have 3 bone piles right next to each other, and I got dick. So I packed up my things and decided to try out Wyveria instead, and although things still weren't going very quickly, at least I was getting some now. Well, sure, I could do some basic level of research and find out where would be best for me to hunt, but I'm a Monster Hunter player. We don't read. Like, I can't see what that says. Can you tell me what that says? Does that say I got all the Dragonbone relics? I think it does. My next target was the Wyvern Gems, because I only need 69 of them. Nice. And I knew who was going to give them to me. That was way easier than I thought it was going to be. Who's next? I don't want to do this anymore. After some careful deliberation, I decided the best course of action was to target the hordes of Doshiguma, because just look at those juicy rewards. With this, if I was lucky, I could get around 5 beast gems per quest, but if I was unlucky, I could end up killing between 200 and 800 Doshiguma to get these gems. Oh god. I fucking hated this monster, but I've come too far to stop now. At this point, hunting Doshiguma felt like I was clocking in. If I wasn't doing anything meaningful with my life, I was hunting Doshiguma. If I wasn't hunting Doshiguma, I was resetting for Doshiguma. And so, over the next week or so, I hunted Guma after Guma after Guma after Guma. And finally, after all of that effort, I was still nowhere close. 1, 6, 8. The end was in sight, but my vision was getting blurry until I found the best quest in Monster Hunter Wilds. Well, there's 4 Doshiguma all inside that one little alcove on this map. This is not gonna go well. Look at the mini-map. Oh shit. And so, for the next 5 or so minutes, I got my shit pushed in. Despite trying my best to fight back, I could barely get a combo off without being interrupted. And on top of that, I couldn't see a fucking thing. And I was loving it. But unfortunately, it wasn't too long before the fun ended and all the Doshiguma ran out of the alcove, and it just turned into a normal hunt. So after finishing that up, I found some victims to join me for the next one. Yes, they are. It's the best quest in the game. And so after a few more rounds in the Iron Cage with Doshiguma, it was finally time to wrap this up.
Holy shit, Arkfeld is getting jumped.
After those quests were all done and dusted, I only had a few gems left, and it seemed like a certain flagship was trying to get in my good books.
Never mind.
Thanks to Arkfeld's help, the final Doshigumas went down fairly easy, and after a few lucky carves, the final beast gem was finally mine.
There is our last gem. Yippee!
I'm not a Final Fantasy player, so it might ring on deaf ears when I say I'm not a fan of this monster as a crossover, because it's not really a monster, it's a fucking robot. To my knowledge, we haven't had any robots in the series before, so it just feels weird. When I attack something, I want it to bleed at me. I don't want it to spaff a bunch of sparks in my direction like it does here. And after fighting it, I like the fight, but it still feels weird. And like other crossover events, that to make it painful to fucking solo it, so I had to go to the dregs of society within SOS quests. You may look at this and think this isn't that bad of a shopping list. I did too. But after just a few attempts of this fucking quest, I'd lost all hope in humanity. I like to give newer players the benefit of the doubt. I like to carry newer players. It feels good, it's fun, it's a challenge. But you'd think by HR 100 you would have high rank gear. As a tip, if you're watching this and you're getting one shot by a monster, upgrade your fucking armor! Outbursts aside, I do think this is a Capcom issue, and I don't know how they didn't learn from Iceborne that by HR 100, with how quick you get there, you're not prepared for these fights, and you just won't have the gear for it if you are new to the series. I'd expect it to be HR 200. Again, you get there so quickly that it doesn't really matter. And the last thing I'm going to complain about before I actually get to getting the materials I needed is people running wide range, you don't need to build an entire set for wide range and then spend the entire quest drinking potions. Just bring the means to craft Dust of Life and then slot in Speed Sheaf 1 and you're golden. There's a quest where DPS is so important and anyone can triple car at any time. Having one person just on the bench chugging potions isn't actually that helpful. Anyway, 4 Omega Data 2.0s, that shouldn't be that bad. Fuck you morons, man, morons! What a waste of time. But for every terrible squad the board gives you, he will also give you 3 Japanese players who will fucking demolish the monster with you.
Let's fucking go. Suki Dayo. Oh, okay. Apparently that's a bad word. All that for one ticket, man. I gotta do that. Oh, I gotta do that so many times.
And I did do it very many times. I did get the tickets, but I can't find the footage. I'm not a professional. I don't know what happened to it. The mood I was in, I probably burnt it to a disc and fucking chewed on it. I'm sorry. There's only like 5 minutes left, and I promise I haven't lost any more footage. At this point, I ended up doing normal Omega by myself with AI hunters because online was plagued by cavemen. Here's the montage of misery. By the way, every quest here is around 15 minutes long.
Yes!
Good hunt, it was a good hunt, it was a good hunt. Halfway there. Oh, now we're talking. Rip. You have to stand over your phone. Yep. Oh my god! Did they patch them out or something? What the fuck? I have 320 springs. Oh! Oh my god, it's real! Yes! Yes! I got one. No way. God rewards his fucking strongest soldiers, man.
I hate carve time, 'cause I carve nothing worth my time.
Oh! The song worked. One fucking more. And we get one of the rewards to finish it off. Oh! I'm free! Yoshi P has lost his crossover privileges. I never want to see a fucking thing from that series ever again. Don't smile because it happened. Smile because it's over. But it wasn't over because Gogmazios had the same hunt times, the same carve chances, and the same lobotomites flooding the SOS. What? The way I was feeling in this moment is precisely why I was abusing the investigations earlier on. Because unfortunately, it's just not an option here. But because at this point Gogmazios was just under 2 months old, there were still people hunting that I trusted personally to help me get consistent clears. On top of this, Gogmazios was nowhere near as difficult as Omega was, so at this point it felt like a cooldown or a victory lap. And it was one long victory lap. Holy shit, I found the footage of me getting the last Omega data. It was in my GOG folder for some reason. Oh yes! Yes, please! Oh, get fucked! He just fell over. Don't you dare carve next to me, Jack G. Yes! Carve next to me all you want, Jack G. Look at this. Or is it? People joined. I'm gonna touch you if you faint. The fuck, dude? Kids play this game? His name's Nightcrawler too. Another one. Oh, but it don't matter. God bless. God bless. Oh, a 2 from the tail. Yes! One more, one more, one more. Yes! Oh, there it is.
Congrats.
I feel like I'm saying this a lot, but despite the controversies around this fight, I quite enjoy it, and I didn't mind doing it so many times. It's a nice mix of the old gen Siege fights and Gogmazios' actual fighting for you, which I admit I haven't fought in about 10 years, but it didn't seem too dissimilar fight-wise. He hits hard and slow with huge AoEs, and the last phase is a clusterfuck that people don't like, but I love it because it's just such a mess. But once you kind of realise where he aims and like how he aims and how to use the rocks to knock him down and stuff, it's fun. It's not that bad at all. And apart from my first time hunting it, I don't think I've ever failed the DPS check, and I didn't believe people saying there was a DPS check when it first came out because I didn't see any evidence of it. My thoughts aside, I caught up to everything that was currently in the game, and now I just had to wait for AT Arkfeld. That would be if he didn't come out while I was still stuck doing GOG runs. I really wanted to have this idea of I was one of the first people in the world to have possibly done this. If I waited for when RT Arkfeld came out and then bum rushed all of his armor and transcended it all, and I could be like, boom, hit the stop clock, I've done it. And no, that didn't happen. But I am confident in saying I don't think many people have done this. I haven't seen any posts and I haven't seen any YouTube videos posted about it, but I haven't really been looking. So if you do know someone that's done it, or if you've done it, let me know, I guess. And well done, because this was fucking miserable. But here I am talking like I've already done it, and I haven't. So here's my first clear. Oh my god.
Move?
I actually can't tell what he's doing.
What is he doing? Whoa!
That is sick.
Oh, that is some primordial Malzeno shit right there. Yeah. I got one-shotted. Oh, is that the unleashed state?
Yeah, I think we failed. Oh my fucking god.
Oh. Oh, that's cool. He spawns those crystals and then he ignites everything.
But I can't see
Goodbye,
anything.
fog.
I can't imagine being Hammer in this quest right now. I'd be having a panic attack. Jesus Christ.
Oh my god.
Dude, that was like a fucking 10-hit combo.
Anime. Oh god, I got one-shotted. I'm part of his death montage. I hope so. Oh god.
Never mind, that was AT Arkfeld's first clear. I was mistaken. But this fight is fucking fantastic, especially with Charge Blade. I mean, I haven't fought it with any other weapon, but it feels like a dance. It's so quick, it makes use of focus mode. It's perfect for wilds, I think, and it's by far the best fight in the game. And it's how I'm hoping to see Master Rank Chattercabra moving on day 1 of the DLC releasing. If he isn't flying around and clotheslining me into the fucking dirt, I don't want to see it. So, after a few hunts with other people, I crafted what armor parts I could afford, and then I decided it was time to try AT Arkfeld solo. And by solo, I mean with AI hunters, because I'm a pussy. I don't like being in the fuck corner. Oh no. No, his tail. I'll cut you off. Yeah, boy. Nice. One hit away. I did cart 2 times, but that's not relevant. 25 minutes later, I decided I am never doing that again, and instead jumped into a solo hunt for realsies this time, and it went way better. It only took me 18 minutes, which at the time I was not expecting anywhere close to that. But what I was expecting was better luck with the gamma ticket drops, because hunt after hunt after hunt after hunt, I just kept getting 1 drop each time, and sure, it was better than the gems I previously done, because at least they were guaranteed this time. But I really wanted to play a different game at this point. So I sucked it up, played a fuck ton of Monster Hunter Wilds with people, and there it was. The last ticket. All the hours, all the suffering, all of the pieces of paper I had in my box, all the deforestation that the guild caused just to give me all this fucking homework. It was done! Here we are. Wishlist completed. Every single page, every single gem, every single piece of fucking paper has been gathered, which means all these check marks, all these pieces of armor
All 784 of them. About to get ascended. Let's get to it. This is going to take ages. Oh. And so, the crafting commenced! It crashed my game. While this beautiful cacophony goes off in the background, I'm just going to rattle off some thank yous because making this video took a lot from me. It might not seem like a lot, but it's been like 2 hours of 2 hours of editing, 2 months of editing, more than that probably, and a lot more months than that of gathering footage and playing this game when sometimes I just really didn't want to. I set myself a goal, which I don't usually do with most things in my life, and here I am. I never thought I'd do it, so thank you to my friends that have pushed me to actually continue working on this and you know, kind of making all the time I put into this worthwhile. If you can call this worthwhile, I don't know, but thank you to those people regardless. Another big thank you to SDShepard. His stuff will be in the description and on screen now. If you don't know him already, go check him out. He's great. Been watching him for like 13 years of my life, which is insane to think about, but if you like Monster Hunter content, he streams it occasionally when the games are good and, well, when he likes them. And if he's not streaming them, he's got like over a decade of content on his channel that you can go back and watch, from speed runs to other stuff. So yeah, go check that out. He's great, and he saved me from having to do a playthrough for you in order to get some footage, because I think starting another playthrough of a Monster Hunter game at this point would give me fucking blood poisoning. So, and also thank you if you've watched the video this far. I don't know why you have, and if I've mocked you or offended you, it's all in good jest, and please don't berate me in the comments. I can't take criticism very well. So I have another idea for Monster Hunter video that I might make, so subscribe if you want to see that, and let's get to the final crafting. Look at that. The last page. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Empty wish list. I then went through and checked all the stuff at the smithy to make sure I'd definitely crafted everything and definitely upgraded it all, and it looked all good to me. If you're a freak and you want to go through frame by frame to find the one piece of armor that I've forgotten about and then make a tiff about it in the comments, by all means, go ahead. And for those curious, this is roughly how much Arcalcite all the materials I've collected would go towards, and here is a count of every monster I'd killed up to the point where I transcended everything. Obviously there's been some events since I did this, so I've killed more monsters than this to finish off those transcends as well, but I'm not going to add that to the end of this video because I can't be fucked. And now, much like Arkveld, I was free of the chains that bound me. Wilds DLC Winter 2026, boys, let's go! We're ready to